He thought landing in America would be the happiest moment of his life. New York lights, dream vacation, beautiful photos, everything finally felt real. After years of saving money, after months of planning, after endless visa stress, he finally arrived in the United States. And honestly, he felt proud, very proud. But then something shocking happened. One airport officer changed everything in seconds. His nightmare was only beginning. The traveler's name was Fahad, 28 years old, first time visiting America, first international trip alone. And honestly, he believed everything was perfectly prepared. Passport ready, ESTA approved, hotel booked, return ticket confirmed, travel insurance purchased. Everything looked safe. Everything looked professional. At least, that's what he thought. The flight to New York felt exciting. Fahad spent hours imagining America, Times Square, luxury shopping, restaurants, tourist attractions. He even prepared social media captions before landing, because honestly, this trip meant everything to him. His family felt excited too. Friends congratulated him, and everyone told him the same thing: enjoy America. But nobody warned him about airport immigration fear. Nobody warned him about secondary inspection. Nobody warned him how quickly things could change. The plane finally landed in New York. Passengers started leaving slowly. Fahad smiled while walking through the airport terminal. Everything looked massive. Bright lights everywhere. Long immigration lines, serious officers, and honestly, that atmosphere already felt intimidating. But Fahad stayed calm, because he believed he had done nothing wrong. He joined the immigration line quietly. People around him looked nervous too. Some travelers avoided eye contact. Others checked documents repeatedly. And suddenly, Fahad started feeling nervous himself. His heartbeat slowly increased. But then something unexpected happened. The immigration officer called him forward. The officer looked serious immediately. No smile, no greeting, only questions. Purpose of your visit? Fahad answered carefully. Tourism. The officer continued staring silently. How long are you staying? 2 weeks. Where will you stay? Fahad showed hotel reservations immediately. Everything still looked normal, at least for a moment. Then the officer asked something unexpected. How much money are you carrying? That question shocked Fahad slightly. He answered honestly. The officer typed something slowly into the computer. Then came another question. Who paid for this trip? And suddenly, Fahad started feeling real pressure. Most travelers never realize how stressful immigration questions can feel. Even innocent people become nervous. Because airports create psychological pressure naturally, especially American airports. The officer continued asking questions rapidly. What do you do for work? How much salary do you earn? Do you know anyone in America? Have you visited before? Everything suddenly felt intense. Fahad tried staying calm, but honestly, his voice started shaking slightly, and the officer noticed immediately. That moment changed everything. The officer stopped typing, looked directly into Fahad's eyes, and said 4 terrifying words. Please step to the side. His heart instantly dropped. Everything changed in one moment. Airport noise suddenly felt distant. His breathing changed, and honestly, real fear entered his mind for the first time. Other passengers quietly walked past him. Nobody stopped. Nobody looked back. But Fahad stood there frozen, confused, embarrassed, terrified. Then another officer approached him. Follow me. That short sentence felt terrifying, especially inside a foreign country, especially inside an American airport. Most travelers never imagine this moment. They imagine arrival photos, tourist attractions, excitement, not immigration detention rooms, not questioning, not fear. But airport problems happen more often than people realize, especially in America. Fahad entered a secondary inspection area, cold room, bright lights, serious officers everywhere. Other travelers looked nervous too. Some looked angry. Others looked completely exhausted. And honestly, that room felt emotionally heavy. Nobody smiled there. Nobody looked comfortable. Everyone looked scared. Fahad slowly sat down. An officer collected his passport. Then came another terrifying sentence. Unlock your phone. His hands started shaking. Most travelers never realize this before visiting America. Airport officers can inspect phones during border screening. That reality shocks many tourists, especially first-time travelers. Fahad unlocked his phone slowly. The officer started checking messages, photos, travel plans, contacts, social media accounts. Everything suddenly felt deeply personal. And honestly, Fahad felt emotionally exposed. Minutes felt like hours. Nobody explained anything clearly. Nobody told him what was happening. And honestly, that uncertainty became mentally exhausting. Then came another question. Why do your hotel bookings change multiple times? Fahad froze completely. Because honestly, he changed hotels earlier to save money. Simple mistake. Normal tourist behavior. But suddenly, everything looked suspicious to immigration officers. And that was only the beginning. The officers continued investigating. They checked return tickets carefully, travel history, bank balance screenshots, and even social media activity. Every answer felt dangerous now. Every mistake felt terrifying. Fahad slowly realized something painful. American airport screening feels completely different in real life. Movies never show this fear properly. Social media never shows this panic properly. People only post successful travel moments online. Nobody posts airport fear. Nobody posts immigration panic. Nobody posts detention rooms. Because honestly, those moments feel humiliating and terrifying. Hours slowly passed. No clear answers, no timeline, no certainty. Fahad's stress became unbearable. He imagined the worst constantly. Would they deport him? Would they cancel his ESTA? Would he lose all his money? Would his family panic? Questions filled his mind endlessly. And then, something shocking happened. An officer returned with serious documents. At that moment, Fahad thought his trip was over. His heartbeat became faster instantly. The officer asked another question. Why did you purchase one-way domestic tickets inside America? That question confused him immediately. Because honestly, he planned visiting multiple cities. New York, Miami, Los Angeles, simple tourist planning. But now, everything looked suspicious. Especially to immigration officers trained to identify overstays. Most travelers never understand this. Small travel details can create major airport problems, especially in America. Officers analyze patterns constantly. Travel behavior, financial consistency, hotel reservations, return intentions. Everything matters. Fahad suddenly understood another painful truth. Entering America is not guaranteed just because you have approval documents. The immigration officer makes the final decision. And honestly, that reality terrifies many travelers. The questioning continued again. Why are your bank transactions inconsistent? Why is your travel budget limited? Why are your bookings changing? Each question increased pressure. Each answer felt risky. Fahad tried staying calm, but fear slowly controlled him emotionally. And honestly, that fear changes people quickly. Even innocent travelers start sounding nervous, and nervous behavior creates more suspicion. That cycle becomes dangerous fast. Another traveler sitting nearby suddenly started crying. An older tourist argued loudly with officers. Someone else looked completely defeated. That room felt emotionally brutal. And honestly, Fahad realized airport detention fear is very real, especially in America. Hours later, an officer finally explained the situation clearly. The immigration team suspected Fahad might attempt illegal work during his stay. That accusation shocked him deeply. Because he never planned anything illegal. He only wanted tourism, photos, vacation memories, simple travel experiences. But suddenly, everything felt uncertain. Most tourists never realize how serious immigration suspicion becomes at airports, especially in the United States. Officers prioritize security aggressively, and small inconsistencies quickly create problems. Fahad's travel insurance suddenly became another issue too. The officer reviewed medical coverage, emergency support, policy details, and honestly, his cheap insurance looked weak. That created another concern. Many travelers never realize weak insurance can create additional suspicion. Because travelers without strong medical protection become financial risks during emergencies, especially in America, where hospital bills become terrifyingly expensive. The officer asked, "What happens if you need emergency treatment here?" That question terrified Fahad deeply, because honestly, he never researched American hospital costs properly. Most travelers don't. They assume nothing bad will happen. But America creates serious financial risks during emergencies. Ambulance rides alone can cost thousands of dollars. Emergency rooms become expensive immediately. Hospital stays become financially devastating without proper coverage. And suddenly, Fahad realized his preparation had serious weaknesses. The officer continued questioning calmly, but the emotional pressure felt enormous. Fahad barely understood time anymore. No phone access, no passport, no certainty. And honestly, that feeling destroys confidence very quickly. He imagined his family waiting for updates. He imagined losing thousands of dollars. Flights, hotels, activities. Everything suddenly looked uncertain. And then came the biggest shock of all. An officer mentioned possible deportation review. That sentence felt terrifying, especially for first-time travelers. Most tourists never imagine deportation discussions during vacations. They imagine excitement, adventure, freedom. Not immigration fear, not airport detention, not legal uncertainty. But unfortunately, these situations happen more often than people realize, especially in America. Fahad slowly started regretting multiple decisions. Cheap insurance, weak preparation, limited financial proof, changing hotel plans repeatedly. Everything suddenly mattered. Every small detail became important, and honestly, that realization came too late. The officers eventually reviewed everything again: travel documents, phone history, return flights, hotel confirmations, financial records. Everything faced heavy scrutiny. And honestly, that process felt emotionally exhausting. Another hour passed, then another. Nobody explained outcomes clearly, nobody guaranteed anything. That uncertainty became mentally painful, especially inside a foreign country, especially alone. Most travelers never prepare emotionally for airport pressure, but honestly, American immigration screening can feel extremely intense, especially for first-time visitors. Officers look for inconsistencies constantly, and nervous travelers sometimes create more suspicion accidentally. Fahad later admitted something painful. He said, "I thought approval meant entry was guaranteed, but airport immigration works differently. Approval only allows travel. Entry still depends on officer decisions at the airport." That misunderstanding shocks many tourists. Eventually, an officer returned with his passport. Fahad immediately looked terrified, because honestly, he expected deportation at that moment. The officer stared silently for several seconds, then finally spoke. "You are being allowed entry." Relief instantly hit him emotionally. But the officer continued speaking. "This is a warning." Fahad nodded quickly, his hands still shaking, his breathing still unstable. And honestly, that moment changed him permanently. The officer explained the risks clearly. Weak financial proof, confusing travel patterns, poor preparation, weak insurance. Everything created unnecessary suspicion. And honestly, those mistakes almost destroyed the entire trip. Fahad finally entered America hours later. But emotionally, everything felt different now. The excitement disappeared. The confidence disappeared. Only exhaustion remained. And honestly, fear remained too, even after entry approval. That airport experience changed his understanding of international travel forever. Most travelers underestimate immigration preparation. They focus only on flights and hotels. But smart travel requires much more. Clear documentation, strong financial proof, consistent travel plans, proper insurance, and confident communication, especially in America, where airport screening becomes extremely serious. Fahad later researched many similar stories online: tourists detained, travelers deported, phones searched, visas canceled. And honestly, he realized his situation could have become much worse. That realization shocked him deeply, because small mistakes create massive consequences during border screening, especially inside the United States. Travel insurance became another important lesson too. Most tourists buy the cheapest policy possible. That becomes dangerous, especially in America, where emergency treatment becomes financially devastating quickly. Ambulance costs, emergency rooms, medical testing, hospital stays, everything becomes extremely expensive without strong insurance coverage. Fahad later upgraded his insurance completely, because honestly, fear changed his priorities permanently. Now, protection mattered more than saving money. And honestly, many travelers only learn this lesson through fear, through panic, through airport pressure, through near-deportation experiences. But smart preparation prevents many of those nightmares before they happen. Travel should create memories, not detention fear, not immigration panic, not emotional trauma. That's why awareness matters, preparation matters, and smart travel decisions matter more than people realize, especially in America. Most travelers never discuss these experiences publicly. They only post beautiful photos online. Luxury hotels, restaurants, shopping. Nobody posts airport fear. Nobody posts detention rooms. Nobody posts immigration panic. Because honestly, those moments feel deeply personal and humiliating. But these stories matter because awareness protects future travelers and education prevents dangerous mistakes. Before traveling to America, always ask yourself one important question. If immigration officers question every detail of my trip, am I fully prepared? Because that answer can completely change your future at the airport. Fahad eventually enjoyed parts of his America trip, but emotionally, the airport experience never left his mind. Every future trip now feels different for him. More careful preparation, better documentation, stronger insurance, smarter planning. Because fear taught him lessons excitement never could. And honestly, many travelers only learn these lessons the hard way, through stress, through panic, through emotional pressure. But smart preparation can prevent those nightmares before they happen. America attracts millions of tourists every year. Dream vacations, business trips, family visits, adventure travel. But airport screening remains one of the most stressful parts of entering the country. And travelers who prepare properly reduce those risks significantly. Strong financial proof matters. Consistent bookings matter. Professional behavior matters. Clear travel intentions matter. And proper travel insurance matters too, especially during emergencies abroad. Many tourists still believe nothing bad will happen. But international travel always carries risks. Airport risks, medical risks, financial risks, immigration risks. That's why preparation matters more than excitement, especially in America. One airport officer changed Fahad's entire understanding of travel forever. And honestly, that experience could happen to many tourists. That's why awareness matters today more than ever. Subscribe to Global Policy Guide for travel safety, visa updates, insurance awareness, and real travel risk stories.